everyone. Whoop, here we go. Oop, and I am muted. I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, also Cal's here. I don't know. You want to say hi to Cal?
Hi, Cal.
We got
Hello, everyone.
We got Ashley back here in the chat, guys. Everyone say hi. Ashley, would you like to formally introduce yourself since I have some people I don't think has ever officially met you?
Sure. So I am Ashley. I also stream sometimes with Becca. I've been taking a break for a little bit. I'm trying to get moving situated and all that fun stuff. But I mainly stream Dead by Daylight with Becca. Sometimes we'll do Phasmophobia and other variety of games. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Cal wants to know who this Ashley person is.
Okay. Yeah, because Cal has no idea.
And then Lemon asks how you're doing today.
I am doing great. How's everyone else doing?
I am doing okay. It is a nice Thursday. Yes. She's there bongoing in the chat too. She can see you.
I am.
I just happen to have more of the live feed, so
I love the bongo.
Ashley's also a fellow true crime aficionado, so that's why I like having her on the stream. Ooh, stabby stabs. We love that. Stabby
I feel like
stabs.
it's fitting.
It
We're talking about murderers, so
yes.
stab everyone.
Yes. I mean, we do play games where you stab people for fun, and then
True.
we talk about cases where people get stabbed, including this case. This case includes somebody who gets stabbed. It's
Ooh. I know nothing
time.
about this case, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I haven't told you anything. I haven't revealed anything about this. All I've talked about is that it has a twist. So this case is a case that I already had notes on, which is why I was able to kind of pull it out of my ass in a single day. And again, just to kind of go over stuff, I will be focusing on telling the story to Ashley, so if we miss anything in chat, it's not on purpose, not trying to ignore you. I'll have more time for questions after we kind of wrap up the main bulk of the case. So just giving you all a heads up. I also have alerts turned off right now, so we don't have a lot of interruptions just in case somebody decides to come in and spam. So, without any further ado, I want to take you to Indiana.
Oh, onto your stomping ground.
Yes,
okay.
My old stomping ground.
All right, I see it.
This is actually, we'll get into that. So it's January 21st of 2014. Who?
Oh wow, this isn't
This isn't old. This is
okay.
This is a recent case. This is a fairly recent case, I should say, past decade or so.
I see you.
So the setting is Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. Lots of engineers, lots of very smart people here in the chat. We do have a treat time coming in. I can do that. I can multitask.
There you go.
So it's a beautiful day here at Purdue University. It's a January day, but it's a beautiful day. So it's a sunny day. And there are these students. They're in this lab because when you take classes at Purdue, you also, whatever your major is, you have to take a lab science. And so all these students have to take a lab where they study rocks. So they're all split up into groups. And they're studying these rocks, and they're trying to sort them by type. Some are shale, some are magma rocks or whatever. And all of them is this is fucking boring as shit.
Well, yeah, who wants to sit and just look at rocks all day? That
right?
I mean, if you're into that stuff, I'm not judging. To me, that just seems very very boring.
Yeah. But. I mean, the TA was doing his best, but everyone was kind of bored. So it's around noon, and somebody hears something outside, and they're like, "Is that a siren?" And everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know." And they're like, "Well, did we have a drill or something today?" Or because it's the Midwest, they're like, "Is there supposed to be a tornado?" But you're looking outside, and you're like, "It's clear skies outside." there's no inclement weather. Like, is this just a test? I don't know. And then all of a sudden, the TA leaps up out of his chair and he's like, I want everyone to get down under your desks. And everyone, like, starts getting the text message at the same time. Shelter in place. Active shooter on campus.
Oh no.
So everyone gets down, like, under their desk. Like, everyone's, like, whispering to each other, like, okay, here's the plan. If something happens, like, because they're in the basement. They can't easily get out. There's no windows to climb out of or anything like that. Like, the windows are too small. So everyone is, like, whispering, tensions are high. They don't realize that already there's been a murder on campus. Not very far away from where they are now. All right. I'm going to back up a little bit because I just dropped you kind of in the middle of stuff. So I want to talk about a kid. I want to talk about a kid named Andrew. And Andrew, his last name is Boldt. He was a good kid, and actually, he was considered a great kid. When I was researching this, I found a Reddit page. Everybody say hi to Roomba. Back there, clean up my mess. But I found a Reddit page that had like a link to the day that this happened. And somebody was talking about Andrew. And they said they sincerely can't remember hearing him say anything mean or negative about anyone, even jokingly, the entire time they knew him. They weren't extremely close, but they spent a good amount of time with him since they were on track and field together for 2 years and the same half-an-hour bus ride home for 3 years. An incredibly nice and intelligent guy to the point that it was well known to everyone around him, in spite of the fact that he flew under the radar. Someone else had commented, I knew him the exact same way, but at Purdue. I couldn't ever imagine anyone hating him. Okay, so a little bit about Andrew. Andrew is originally from Wisconsin, but he came down.
Okay.
He came down and was studying at Purdue University. He was majoring in electrical engineering. He was a senior, and he was already a teaching assistant. So he hadn't even graduated yet, and he was already like teaching full blown like classes by himself.
Damn.
Somebody said he was a TA for my class, and I talked to him in the electrical engineering lounge a bunch of times. He was a great dude, always willing to help wherever he could, and just seemed to be a generally good person. He's also, so he lived on campus. He lived in a dorm called Quad, and the Grand Prix team. He was part of the Grand Prix team. Now, what's Grand Prix? At Purdue, Grand Prix is either A, an excuse to get drunk, or B, like a giant event. So everyone makes their own everyone makes their own little race car, and then you designate like a race team. So it's little mini Indy 500. All these engineers get to like bust out their chops. He was the leader of his team. Yeah. And I think they actually won the year previous. So Andrew was getting ready for graduation coming up. He was in his last semester. He was teaching a lecture on this January 21st, 2014. And he was teaching a lecture in like a big classroom full of students. And they would all watch him get murdered.
He's the one that got murdered? I thought he was going to be the murderer. No. He got murdered? I was so confused the whole time. I was thinking like he was going to be the murderer. So I was like, why is this kid like so nice and he ends up being a murderer? But he got murdered? If he was so nice, why would someone murder him?
Well.
Oh, God. No.
I go into that. I promise I do go into that. That is a part of the story.
He seems like he was doing great in life, and then someone just wants to be like, no, I don't like you, so you're just the chosen one, or I'm so confused.
So I was actually, when I was on that Reddit thread, I don't know if you guys know anything about Reddit, but somebody was commenting, they were like, he had active gold, which means he had just gotten like an award for one of his posts or one of his comments on Reddit like less than 24 hours before he was murdered. He was like, this was completely out of the blue.
Poor Andrew.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw up actually a picture real fast while I have a minute. I'm gonna throw up a picture because He is like the nerdiest looking kid ever, and I just feel like it's worth it. So give me a quick
I'm gonna
second.
be honest. The way you were going with this, I really thought Andrew was gonna end up
I
like
mean,
snapping one day and like he was gonna be the murderer. I wasn't expecting him to be the first one to be
oh,
murdered.
I thought I had saved I thought I saved a photo of him. Okay, I know where there's a video I could find of him, so I will show that in a little bit. But he's just like pictures of him. Like you can Google him. His last name is Boldt, Andrew Boldt, and he's just like this super like nerdy looking cute kid. Um, and he like was just a super sweet looking guy. Like he looks like the boy next door, and um like this case is just about to get like a little bit more heartbreaking too. So everybody brace yourselves. This is actually a doozy. Um so it was just afternoon during an electrical and electrical engineering building. So like all the STEMs have their own
I
buildings. You see him?
actually found his obituary.
Okay, well don't read ahead.
Oh, I'm not gonna read it. I was just looking at the picture of him. I wanted to see what he looked
Yeah,
like.
he's so cute though, right?
He's a handsome young man. Okay,
He's
he's
sweet.
very handsome.
He was 21 years old.
Oh my
He was a
god, poor baby.
baby. He was a baby.
Definitely a baby. Yeah, you said he looked nerdy, so I wanted to see a picture, but I don't think he looks nerdy. I think
I think he looks
he looks
sweet,
like
right? He
he
looks
just
like
looks like an innocent young kid.
okay, so
He doesn't look like he was 21.
what he reminds me of is he reminds me of like the Boy Scouts that would like help like the old ladies like cross the street and stuff like that. That's like the vibe he gives off. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I guess
Yeah,
that's what I mean by like nerdy kid. Like he doesn't look like
maybe.
he's like, you know, doing
Wonder if I
anything
can
like doing anything.
share a picture.
You can share your screen, yeah, and we can
Hold
watch it.
on, let me see if it'll do it. I don't think it's gonna do it.
I don't see it, unfortunately. I'll pull up a picture of him later.
I picked the wrong one, I think.
Whoops.
There we go. That's him.
Yes. So this is Andrew right here. Just a sweet kid. And we were like he would be like he was born the same year as you, so like he would be your age. Yes, Lemon, what's your question? Everyone ignore my Roomba freaking out. How many cases am I doing? I'm just doing one today. We haven't even gotten to the actual event. We're just doing one case today. It's going to be like not a very long stream, but I'm going to try to only cover one case per stream just cuz I can only research so much in a week. And like I said, I already had case notes on this. And I will get to why I have case notes on this as well. So electrical engineering, building room 67. So this is also down in the basement of that building. Another TA walked into Andrew's classroom just afternoon. And then this is what happened next. So Purdue Police Chief John Cox said that someone on the scene claimed to have heard, quote, 4 to 5 shots fired. One of those inside the building was a guy named Ben. According to him, he and others inside the engineering building believed they heard 2 gunshots and they like knew something was up. Like this is Indiana. People know what gunshots sound like. Even if you're from the city. Like it's about as country as it gets in Indiana. I can say that because I'm from Indiana. You're from Ohio, you know exactly. It's the same thing, a different font.
I get it.
Like everyone knows
Right.
what a gunshot sounds like. And so Ben said, quote, "We heard it immediately," and everyone was like, "Okay, let's go." He recalled officers coming in fast, including 4 on the building's second floor armed with what looked like assault rifles, and saw several people, quote, "getting handcuffed," and one man with, quote, "blood on his hands." So this is like one POV of what's happening. In another interview, a guy named Kirk said he first heard cries of "get down, get down, get down" after leaving a bathroom and didn't know what to make of it. After he returned to a large lecture hall, Kirk said a cop came in and said, get out, everyone get out of the building." A a guy named David said he didn't hear gunshots but heard shouting outside his lecture hall, which was in a building connected to the one that bloodshed occurred. So some of these buildings, they're like all like kind of in a circle. So his building was like connected to where this was happening. Eventually, quote, someone came in and yelled, evacuate the building, and then an alarm went off, which was the siren that we talked about at the beginning of the stream. I walked out. This is David. He said, I walked out, and there were police cars everywhere. And bear in mind, it's like, it looks nice outside, but it's like cold. It's January in the Midwest. It's cold. So, now, the police responded really quickly, but the question is whether or not they needed to be concerned. Because bear in mind, like, the alarms went off and, like, this area itself was, like, evacuated, but everybody else didn't really know what was going on because Purdue's campus is very big. So, like, this was all kind of contained in one area over here, but, like, there are people still in class on the other side of campus that have no idea what's going on.
Why wouldn't they, like, inform the entire campus, not just because?
So they were, but like there was a lot of misinformation because like I told you like 3 different stories. So as
Right.
like this is coming in real time, the like campus police like are not sure what's going on. They're not sure if
Right.
like how many shooters there are. They're not sure how many like if they're dangerous. They're not sure like how many people are targets. It would turn out that it was only one man. I'll give you that spoiler. It was only one man, and nobody else on campus had anything to worry about. But the school sent text messages about the shootings to the students. So this is like, but this was a little bit delayed. Not by a lot, but like there was a lot of confusion and chaos because this was out of the blue. The request for shelter in place was lifted by 1:30, and so the shooting happened like right afternoon, and then the request was lifted by 1:30. Although the electrical engineering building would remain closed and would actually remain closed for like a really long period of time, obviously.
Right.
So the rest of campus was open, but the provost would eventually come out and say, hey, all of these classes are canceled for the rest of the day and for tomorrow. Because, like, how do you go to
Makes
class?
sense.
How do you go to class, especially with everything circulating right now? Because the more that came out about this case, the more, like, terrifying it really was.
Didn't go to class. Beg, email me my assignments. I can go nowhere. Get out of here. What do you mean?
Exactly. Virtual school, let's go. So what had happened inside room 67? Electrical engineering room 67. What had happened that had set off this panic that just spread? So Andrew had been shot 5 times.
It's
Andrew
a
had
little excessive.
Andrew had also been stabbed 19 times. It also appeared his body had been kicked several times after he had been shot and stabbed. The first gunshot did not kill Andrew, so it is likely that he did suffer before he died. The pathologist who performed Andrew's autopsy said of the roughly over 9,000, he has done over 9,000 autopsies, and this was by far the worst he'd ever seen. He was mutilated. It wasn't
Made. What made this person? Everyone says this guy is so sweet. Why would you have to shoot him 5 times and stab him? What'd you say, 19 times? It's a
19
little
times.
excessive. And you had to kick him? Poor baby. Poor, rest in peace. Oh my God. I can't. That's so sad.
All right. So we've talked about Andrew and how good of a guy he was, and we've talked about what happened. This was not an accident. This was not a random act of violence. This was planned by, and like, you're right. Who could want this for somebody who was like an integral, like, great guy? Well, let me give you his name. His name is Cody. His name is Cody Cousins, and I actually have a photo of him. that I will pull up. And I will share my screen, so give me a quick second.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to hear this because that is just crazy to me that shot 5 times, stabbed 19 times, and then kicked his body after the fact.
Yeah, and it's. I
What was
wish
the
I could. I
reason?
wish I could say it gets better, but it doesn't. So this is Cody. So Cody was also a TA. Cal, we do not like this guy. We're not calling him a handsome criminal. No, this guy is a piece of shit. This guy is a piece of shit. I'm like
Handsome
actually like
criminal.
you can't see me, but I'm actually shaking because like I'll get into it. Why did he do it though? You called him like okay, fair. So Cody was also a teaching assistant. Remember how I said that teaching assistant and walked into his class right afternoon? That was Cody.
Okay.
So in that same Reddit thread that like I was finding out information and people were testifying about Andrew, people were talking about Cody because at this point he had been arrested already.
Gotcha.
I will get to all of that in just a second. So they said that he was extremely intelligent. Cody was extremely intelligent. But he had a history of like lashing out and quirky behavior, and his record was not super clean. So in 2011, he had
Hmm.
been dropped from Purdue, but he had been readmitted in 2012, and he was considered exceptionally intelligent. He was in the electrical engineering program. He was an undergraduate TA. He had made the dean's list 3 out of the 6 semesters he was there. But there was a lot going on behind the scenes because he was not mentally doing well. He might have been doing well academically, but he was not mentally doing well. Cody had visited Purdue's Counseling and Psychology Services Department 17 times in the 6 months before the shooting. They diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder, but it didn't really help him. In the summer of 2013, he began having manic thoughts, which started to concern his mother, who, by the way, is a mental health expert, and had him involuntarily hospitalized in his hometown, which is like in the north part of Indiana. So yeah, Cody's mother is named Wendy, and she's a mental health professional, but her attempts to help her son were, quote, unwelcome and, quote, rejected. When given medication for mood disorders, Cody would begin taking it, and his bizarre thoughts would ebb, but he would stop taking his medication because he didn't believe he was sick. He was a
Oh
narcissist.
no.
How could he be like sick? How could he be
Right.
like unwell in the head, you know? It's unfortunate. So yeah, that day Cody, in a premeditated act, walked into the room, shot Andrew 5 times, stabbed him 19 times, kicked his body once he had fallen to the floor. And he did this in front of an entire classroom of students. I think I skimmed over this a little bit, but like this was a lecture hall. If you've ever been in like a college lecture hall, like there's
Mhm.
not just a few students, like there was a good amount of students in there.
So I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
So he went into this lecture hall.
Yeah.
So it was full of students, you said. So he just went after him. That was it. He didn't try to like
This
hurt
was
anybody else or cause harm to anyone else. He just went strictly for him.
He went up, he killed Andrew, he murdered him, and then he walked out of the electrical engineering building, and surrendered himself to police. He did not try to fight.
Oh,
He did not try to run. He surrendered himself to the police and then just like did not say a word.
that's crazy.
Um he didn't he didn't talk. He would not tell anybody why this happened. Why would he do something like this? Like there were no answers. Everyone had speculations. There were speculations about like, oh, I heard that they were dating the same girl, or oh, I heard that like Andrew was trying to get him kicked out of the TA program, but like it's all like that was all conjecture. Like there was no real
Yeah.
answers, and everyone was like super confused because this seemed so random. Um, so there were candlelight vigils held. There was a day of healing held where students could talk to therapists, and they had like therapy dogs available like all day, because like everyone was shook. Um, so we wouldn't get any answers about the motive until we got to the trial. Now, Cody entered a plea of guilty. Um, he was indicted on, I believe, first degree murder, and pled guilty. Uh, excuse me. And then it came to the trial, a professor would testify that they believe that Cody was jealous of Andrew. Um, a professor testified that Andrew had tried to help Cody back in 2013, back when he was like kind of spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes that Cody got offended by the gesture and it sparked a seed of hate. And from that little, like what Andrew saw as a random act of kindness would grow this hatred for the other person.
Crazy.
The prosecutor would chalk it up to jealousy. There was a quote from the prosecutor, and he says he was truly envious. Andrew Boldt was a professor, testified, well liked. He was the most popular teacher's assistant at Purdue University, and he was everything that Cody wasn't. So Cody pled guilty, and he was sentenced to 65 years in prison, which is the most that he could get. At his sentence, Andrew's mom, Mary, gave a statement, and it wasn't really a statement; it was a bunch of questions. So these were the questions that she asked to Cody. She's standing face to face with the man who killed her
Mm-hmm.
son, and she's asking him, "Mr. Cousins, did you even know my son Andrew? What did he do to make you so mad? Were you stalking him? I am keenly aware that the first gunshot did not kill my son, Mr. Cousins. You intended to make my son suffer before he died. How dare you? How dare you?" So you're like looking this very emotional mother in the eye, and Cody had no emotions. Nothing. Like nothing on his face. Um, a student who was in the classroom, he wished to remain anonymous, but he wrote a letter, and the letter was read at sentencing. And he said he was the representative for like the group of people who had been in that lecture hall the day that this happened. He said many had experienced reoccurring nightmares, lost hours of sleep, felt afraid of the public or in their own homes, experienced a severe lack of trust in other people, and had trouble concentrating on even simple tasks. For weeks afterwards, he said, I could feel the pain of that day reflected on my classmates' faces. Um, the student also said that he involuntarily thought about the murder 90% of the time he was awake, and that he also felt uncomfortable around large computer equipment, meaning his major of electrical computer engineering caused him an intense feeling of distress. Um, I didn't make a side note of this, but almost everyone in that classroom that day either
Mm-hmm.
switched their major or they just dropped out of school completely, because there was absolutely no way that they could be around, because this is a classroom that has like a lot of the engineering equipment, and they couldn't be around that equipment without having panic attacks. So a lot
Oh
of
my
them,
god.
Andrew was the only person murdered, but there was a lot of people affected.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
yeah,
to have to witness something like that, seeing somebody stabbed and kicked and shot and just that there's nothing you can do about it. Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's gonna mess anybody up mentally.
yeah.
Of- It's oh my god.
Um, so after all these testimonies were done, the defense was allowed a statement, and for the first time, Cody was ready to talk.
Good, because I need some answers. You better give me something, sir. I better have an answer for
Yes.
why he did this.
So I think it's worth noting that Cody was evaluated by a court psychiatrist, and he was he was declared mentally fit, and that his previous diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder and whatever else had no bearing on the murder. So they say he was sane at the time of the murder and fit to stand trial. So that's just like a disclaimer to throw it out there. They weren't ignoring
Yeah.
the fact that he had mental health problems, but they said it did not contribute enough to justify him. Like he wasn't able to like do the insanity plea.
Right.
So uh this is what Cody had to say. Yes, Your Honor, I have a confession to make. I lied to the doctors. I flat out lied. I made up all the crap about Andrew being evil. My mother is a skilled clinician, except in the case of her son. I killed Andrew Boldt because I wanted to. In general, I do what I want and I deal with the consequences later. I'm glad he's dead. That's all I have to say, Your Honor.
Hello? What do you mean? You just wanted him dead? That was your only reason. You just wanted him dead. That was that okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me very mad and upset and sad and devastated, and that family has zero answers on why their son was murdered, just to the fact that I wanted to. Like, if you're gonna do something and say that you're gonna deal with the consequences later, then man up and give an actual reason on why you did it. Don't just say I wanted to.
We will circle back to dealing with the consequences later in a moment.
Oh my god. Okay, fine.
So after the sentence of 65 years was passed down, the judge looked at Cody and said, envy led to malice. Malice led to hatred. That's not insanity. That's not mental illness. This was an act of terror. And he's absolutely right. This was. So Cody was sentenced in September of 2014. And he would decide how to deal with the consequences of his actions because in October of 2014, he was found dead in prison of a suicide. He was allowed a razor for shaving, and he had used it to inflict wounds on his neck and arms, and he only served 1 month of his 65-year sentence. So yeah, that was
Wow.
that was the the conclusion to the consequences of his actions. To this day, like there's still technically it's just conjecture, but most people do believe that it was an act of jealousy, that you know Andrew had offended quote unquote him in some way, and he just took it out on him. I mean they were both TAs, so it wouldn't have been hard for him to get a hold of Andrew's teaching schedule, and yeah, he never targeted anyone else. This was the only act of violence that happened on that day. So, back to that geology class that I was talking about at the beginning of the story.
Oh no.
So the all clear was given, and the students like left, and everyone was all shaken up. It had already been all over Twitter that something had happened. So I'm gonna pull up something here, but while I do that, I'll just continue talking because there was somebody in that classroom worked at the newspaper, the school newspaper, and that was she was the opinions editor at her school newspaper. And conveniently, the Purdue student-run newspaper was directly across from the crime scene. So as she got to work, she was like climbing her steps and whatever, and she would look out and she would actually like see the detectives and everybody like putting up the crime scene and stuff like that. Like, and of course, like she had to get to work because this was a huge fucking deal. And she would, for weeks, like she would just walk by, and there was a giant window just looking out onto like this crime scene. People were laying flowers there. Even when the building was opened, room 67, I think to this day, is still largely unused. I mean, who wants to?
No one wants to go into that
room. No
room.
one wants to go in that room. Like, you want to talk about a place that's probably like haunted, like,
right?
But as she helped report on it, and like wrote pieces about like the community coming together, whatever, she just started compiling notes as the cases unfolded. Um, and that's why I already had notes on this case, because when this all was taking place, I'm gonna share my screen real fast. Hang on. When this all was taking place, this is where I was having class, and this is where the murder happened. I was 2 buildings away when this crime took place.
Oh my god, you were there that day? That's crazy.
I was in that geology class. That was, so this red X shows where the crime took place, and then like right across the way where this circle is, kind of where I'm gesturing, is where my class was. And then I worked right here at the Purdue Exponent, which is directly across from the crime scene. So,
oh my god.
Yeah, I actually helped report this case as breaking news. And went to the vigil that was held for him. Which is why like I don't I don't really like have any like nice things to say about Cody, because he's a piece of shit and he like ruined a lot of people's lives.
Did you ever like interact with either of them?
No. I was an English major, so I was usually I just happened to be on that side of campus, because normally I don't have classes over there. Normally I have classes on the opposite side of campus. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, I did not realize how close I was until I like got out and looked to my right, and there was police right there. I actually went and would talk to one of my mom's really good friends, which was the lead detective on the case, and she was the one who originally told me how many times he was like shot and stabbed. So,
oh my god.
So yeah, that was the closest I ever came to being a part of a murder. And it was also
that's close enough.
Yeah, that's
you don't
close
need to
enough
be any
for
closer.
me.
That's I can't believe you were there that day. Oh my god.
It was incredibly like terrifying. But yeah, that was the story. And I know that like I think they have a memorial for him on campus. I think they're going to turn room 67 into something completely different at some point. Yeah, but it was a really, really weird time.
I can shoot better than that detective lady, you know.
No, you can't. She's basically my godmother, so I'm not going into that pissing contest. But yeah, so that's
get him later.
I realized that I had realized I had this like already done, and I was like, and so this is one of like 2 murders that happened really, really close to like where I lived. And then the other one, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I'll probably cover it a little ways down the road, but that one's actually unsolved. And it's called the Down the Hill Murders. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Abby and Libby.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that one
doesn't ring a bell.
Oof, that one's even harder to talk about. But yeah, this is the story of Andrew Boldt. I really hope like I did him justice, because he just seemed like a really good guy, and we were like in the same grade, we were the same age, and like it was just, I think they actually canceled Grand Prix that year, maybe because like no one felt like doing anything for like ever. Like even if you weren't there, you were traumatized. So
I don't blame anybody. I mean, I wouldn't want to do anything either. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah.
No, you did that story justice. It was you did really well. But Cody is terrible. It sucks nobody really got a straightforward answer on it. And I feel very bad for the family and everyone that knows him, and I feel bad for all those students that have like PTSD from being in that room, and it's a crazy mess.
Yeah, it is crazy. And, it's like, yes, there was only technically like one victim, but like you've also got like all of like Andrew's like friends and family. You've got all the people that were in that classroom. And then you've got like, a lot of people gave Cody's mom a lot of shit because she was a mental health professional and like her son was still sick. But like at a certain point, like you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. So
Right.
I
And somebody that's like lying and manipulating. Because I
yeah,
mean, didn't he even kind of say like my mom didn't even
yeah.
touch it or whatever?
And I don't know how much of his statement was his narcissism talking or how much
Right.
of it was like true, but I do think, I personally believe that there was a rivalry between them. I think it was one-sided because Andrew didn't seem like the type that would do something like that. But I
Yeah.
think Cody was comparing himself and felt like he came up short and thought it best to no, Lemon.
Maybe he saw. Go ahead.
Lemon, Cody killed himself a month after he was sentenced. I don't know if you missed that part, but um he ended up committing suicide in jail after he was sentenced. So so much for facing the consequences of your actions.
I mean, maybe he was jealous of Andrew. Maybe he felt threatened. Maybe he saw somebody that had maybe more friends or more people that liked him or whatever because he was such a good person, everyone was saying. So maybe he's like, his narcissism
Oh
kicked
yeah.
in and he's like, I gotta be on top. I gotta be the best.
Yeah.
This guy's in my way.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what made him do it.
Yeah. It's just, any way you like slice it or dice it, it still like makes no sense and it's still like a horrible crime. So
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, thank you so much for coming and hanging out.
I once took a narcissist test. The results were positive.
Okay.
No, thank you for that. Thank you
Yeah.
for the story. That was a good one. Very scary. Very, very, very scary that you were that close to it.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I'm glad, that everybody's okay and it wasn't multiple people. I mean, I'm not justifying anything. Like it's
No.
still terrible, 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 even with just one
Yeah.
person, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy, but that's going to do it for this week's episode. So, thank you for like coming and hanging out. And then I have your case. I am researching it. We will be back in Indiana
Ooh.
again next week, same time. Or roughly around the same time, and we will be looking into another insane case.
Yeah.
How much do you know about that one?
I actually know a lot
Okay.
because I found it one day when I was just like researching murderers and
As
I
one
came about that
does.
one. I was at work bored, okay?
Okay.
Don't leave me alone.
Mm-mm.
So I found it and then I started reading articles on it and then I just kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper into it. So I know quite a bit about that one. It's horrifying. It's really sad. It's pretty. There's pictures. I don't know
Yeah.
if you're gonna show those, but they're pretty graphic. I mean, there's a lot to that one.
I
But
think I'm
it's
gonna.
one of it's a good one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off on pictures as much as I can, just because like that one is really graphic. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was just re-listening to a podcast episode about it. But am I doing some popular cases? I'm gonna try to do more obscure cases, just because I feel like everyone's heard a podcast about Jeffrey Dahmer, but like not everyone has heard a podcast about Sylvia Likens. So that's what we're gonna be covering next week. So I'm gonna be putting this up on YouTube. If you don't follow my YouTube, you can go follow my YouTube. And thank you so much, Ashley, and I thank you so much, Stream, and I will see you guys later. Ashley, I'll talk to you in just a second, actually. But
Yeah, no, you're good. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everyone has a great night. I love being here. Go follow Becca on YouTube. Subscribe. We love her.
Thank you. All right.
All
Good night,
right.
everybody.
Bye.
I call tell them story of the lady and her baby in Africa that was being used to lure us. She had a UN alive vest.
I don't think I will do that, but give me just a second. Don't know why this is not working, but treat time will be done later. I'm going to go ahead and head home. Yeah, my OBS is freezing, guys, so I will be ending stream there.